Hello there, George Hoge back with you with another Business English Conversation video program, video lesson. Today I want to talk about the nine steps to management effectiveness. There are 9 things that as I see it, managers or people who are hoping to be managers should be aware of and learn about and become skilled at. The very first one, which is pretty obvious, particularly given the fact that I have a company with my son called Business English Conversations, the very first item on the list is communication. Companies need to have a common language. Managers need to understand that language. The communication process, upwards and downwards for managers, has got to be precise and consistent in terms of organizational philosophy, organizational objectives, what to do, how to do, when to do, on and on and on. Communication is probably in my mind, the key element to good management, effective management. And of course, you might figure I would say that since my son and I have this business, because another key point is, what is the common language? Well, for multinational or international companies, the common language is English. We'll get into that more in some future videos, but let's just leave that for right now, and let me say again, key element, communication, number 1. Number 2, problem or an issue that managers have to face, high turnover, meaning loss of good people in a lot of cases. A lot of hidden costs are involved in high turnover. Training cost, retraining people, turnover, takeover links within the company. Tremendous problems for managers. Number 3, third thing that managers need to deal with to be effective, increased costs. This is a fact of life. Costs are increasing and they will continue to increase. How do they combat that? Mainly through increased productivity, because there are some costs that you just cannot change. Increased productivity, problem management, knowing what problems to deal with and how to deal with them, avoiding problems, and understanding the management process. Key elements to the increased cost factor. Another factor, number 4, low morale. How does a manager deal with that? Well, managers need to learn behavioral patterns and their consequences. They also need to learn and equip themselves with the motivational tools to ignite their employees. Number 5, change. The unavoidable problem, circumstance, issue in all businesses. How does a manager deal with that? By avoiding adverse impacts of change, because it's going to happen. You just need to avoid the adverse impacts. By pre-arrangement, pre-planning, foreknowledge, expecting change, expecting things to happen, and being prepared for it. Another issue that's very difficult for a lot of managers, number 6, delegation. Sounds easy, but it's not. Employees or managers need to have the analytical and operational tools to effectively delegate. Managers have to be sure that they are very good at their own time management and the time management of their employees. Delegation is not an easy process. Number 7, controls, business controls. What to do, how to do it. Problem avoidance, problem selection, key elements in the control factor for a manager, day-to-day issues. Number 8, planning. There's basically 5 standard approaches to setting objectives. We'll talk about those again in a future video, but the planning process is another key element to effective management. And number 9, management development. In other words, self-development. Somebody once said that all development is self-development. Well, here's an item that a lot of managers don't pay much attention to. Need to continually self-develop. So what do we do about these 9 issues, these 9 steps? Well, I think what I'm going to do is the next 9 videos that I make will cover these subjects. With these 9 problems, these 9 issues, these 9 challenges in mind, we will go into a series of videos to talk about each and every one of these in more detail. Now, it's important to understand that there's a lot of detail behind each and every one of these. And there's a lot of approaches and a lot of thoughts out there. It's also important to keep in mind that just because I say there are 9 steps to management effectiveness, I could also substitute that and say there are 9 steps to employee effectiveness. Because whether you're a manager or not, there are a lot of things in each and every one of these 9 items that you should be paying attention to, that you should be learning, broadening your perspective. Now that's kind of what AJ and I have done with our business English conversations. Our conversations cover 16 different topics, management topics. Now, I grant you that we don't go into the total depth because the conversations themselves are about 10 or 12 minutes long. But we cover a lot of these things in a slightly different way, and I'll explain that as I do my next set of videos. But I can tell you that one of the main focuses that we put in our business was cross-learning. Learning as much about a company and how it operates and the various functions as you can. That's how you become a valuable employee. That's how you work your way into the skills and learning the skills and being able to use the skills to move forward into a management position if that's what you want to do. If that's not what you want to do, that's fine. Doesn't matter. Doesn't change the fact that to be good, to be a superstar, even if you don't want to be a manager, you need to learn as much as you can about your company and about the whole business process. In other words, understand the big picture. Makes it a lot easier for the communication process, obviously. It reduces the turnover problem. Morale is usually higher. Change is adapted to a lot quicker. Everyone looks forward to delegation, receiving duties. And everybody's involved in the planning process, and in the bottom line, everyone's doing some self-development. So that's it for today. Oh, forgot one other thing. I mentioned my business. If you haven't checked it out, go to businessenglishconversations.com. Take a look at what we got to offer. You may be surprised. You might learn something. So until next time, when we'll talk a lot more in detail about the communications process, it's George Hoge. Talk to you next time.